June 28, 1944, Farmington, Minnesota. The convoy of cattle trucks rolled to a halt, dust rising in clouds as they came to a stop in front of an onion warehouse. 40 Japanese prisoners stepped out, their uniforms torn and dirty from months of captivity, their expressions blank with exhaustion. Among them was engineer Hiroshi Takeda, a 28-year-old agricultural mechanic from Tokyo who had been captured near Saipan in the Pacific 10 months earlier. Takeda had spent his childhood in the fields of Japan's countryside, where his father ran a small agricultural repair business. Before the war, he had worked alongside his father, fixing farm machinery used by the local farmers. But it was in the tense silence of a Minnesota farm barn that he would soon experience a revelation that would challenge everything he had believed about the superiority of Japan's technological might. For Takeda, the war had been a mission of technological supremacy. Japan, under the leadership of its military government, had promised its people victory through superior strategy and innovation. Japan's war machine had produced ships, planes, and weapons that were a marvel of engineering. Yet when Takeda set foot on American soil for the first time, he would learn that America's agricultural revolution had surpassed anything he had ever imagined. The men were assigned to various farms across Minnesota, and Takeda was sent to work for Thomas Burke, a prosperous farmer who had been struggling with labor shortages due to the war. The federal government paid 40 cents an hour for each prisoner's labor, but Burke paid them in food and provisions, giving them ample time to reflect on the strange new world they found themselves in. July 3, 1944, Burke Farm, Farmington, Minnesota. On Takeda's first day working on the farm, he found himself standing in the middle of a large equipment barn, his eyes wide with disbelief. Before him was an International Harvester tractor, its bright red color almost gleaming in the low light of the barn. The tractor was a 1943 model, powered by a reliable engine and equipped with modern features that were foreign to Takeda. The idea that a single machine could replace the hard labor of several workers seemed unimaginable to him, having only worked with smaller, less powerful equipment in Japan. Takeda had grown up believing that Japan's technological prowess was unmatched. Japan's military-industrial complex had long been a source of pride, and he had never doubted the superiority of the nation's technological innovations. Yet now, standing before a piece of machinery so simple, so robust, he couldn't help but feel a profound sense of disillusionment. The guard, a local soldier with a distant Japanese ancestry, noticed Takeda's awe and approached him. "You know about tractors?" the guard asked in a broken Japanese accent. Takeda hesitated. "I used to work with farm machines in Japan. But we didn't have tractors like this." The guard smiled knowingly. "You're about to see a whole lot more. These machines, they're part of what makes America strong." Over the next few days, Takeda worked alongside American farmers, maintaining the equipment. What struck him most was the abundance of machinery, the way everything was mechanized to perfection. On Burke's farm there were not just one but 3 different tractors. There were combine harvesters, plows, and mechanical grain elevators that worked seamlessly together. Takeda had never seen anything like it in Japan. Back home, farm work was done by hand or with the aid of small, inefficient machinery that could not keep up with the demands of modern agriculture. July 10, 1944, Burke Farm. One morning, as Takeda worked on repairing a broken combine harvester, he struck up a conversation with Mr. Burke's son, Jack, who had just returned from military training. The young man, about Takeda's age, was eager to talk about his experiences, even though their shared language was limited to simple English and broken Japanese. "Your country, Japan," Jack said slowly, "you guys have farms too, right?" Takeda nodded. "Yes, we have farms. But our farms are much smaller than yours. Our tractors, they are not as powerful." Jack chuckled. "Well, this is just one farm. But I've got friends in Iowa and Nebraska where the farms are even bigger. They've got machines that do everything for them. You wouldn't believe it." Takeda was stunned. He had heard rumors of America's technological prowess, but seeing it firsthand in a foreign field was something else entirely. The sheer scale of mechanization left him speechless. August 12, 1944, Camp Dakota, Iowa. Takeda was briefly sent back to Camp Dakota for a routine medical checkup. The camp was a temporary base for over 3,000 Japanese prisoners working in agriculture across the Midwest. That evening, Takeda sat with fellow engineers and farmers who had been captured during the war. As they shared stories of their work, one prisoner from the industrial city of Osaka, a man named Akira Iwashita, remarked, "This farm system in America, it's incredible. So different from Japan. The land is worked by machines, not people. In Japan we work the land ourselves." Takeda could feel the truth of Iwashita's words. America's agriculture wasn't just mechanized, it was designed for efficiency. By contrast, Japan's agricultural efforts felt primitive, dependent on manual labor, often from an underpaid, overworked peasantry. August 20, 1944, Burke Farm. Takeda spent his days working on tractors, and when the farm's equipment began malfunctioning, Takeda quickly repaired it, impressed by how easy it was to maintain compared to Japan's more complex machines. These tractors are designed for everyone, not just engineers, Takeda thought, realizing that the simple, efficient designs reflected the American philosophy of mass production and abundance. One evening after a long day's work, Jack asked Takeda, "How's your family?" "Back home, I mean." Takeda thought for a moment. "They're fine. I hope they are. I don't know when I'll return to Japan. Everything is so different here." Jack offered Takeda a warm smile. "If you want, when the war's over, you can stay. We need people like you who understand these machines." Takeda was taken aback by the offer. "Stay? Here. But I am Japanese. My country is. Your country's going through something bad, I know. But look at what's here. There's nothing like this in Japan. Here you can rebuild. You can create something new." September 12, 1944, Camp Dakota. The war news continued to pour in, and the dissonance between what Takeda had learned on the American farms and the war his nation was waging grew unbearable. The war was turning against Japan, and Takeda could no longer ignore the mounting evidence that Japan's path to victory had been built on flawed ideology and militaristic ambitions. The mechanized agriculture of America had opened his eyes to the potential of a society built on innovation, not conquest. Takeda felt the weight of his decision. Would he return to a shattered Japan, or would he take up Jack's offer and start anew? October 15, 1944, Burke Farm. The harvest season was upon them, and Takeda was now a trusted part of the operation. The American equipment had shown its worth during the harvest, making the grueling task easier than Takeda had ever thought possible. He had learned to operate the machines with skill, even diagnosing and fixing problems that arose. There was no going back to the Japan of his youth, the Japan that had promised so much but delivered so little. In October, Takeda wrote a letter to his parents, describing what he had learned on the farm and what he had come to believe. He couldn't be sure when he would return, but he knew he could never go back to the country he once knew. "I've seen a world where people work with machines to grow things, not fight wars. It's something I never knew was possible. I think we have much to learn from America. We need to change. I don't know if I will ever return, but I know that here I can build a future." By January 1945, Takeda had made his decision. When the war ended, he would take Jack's offer. He would stay in America. Not because he hated Japan, but because he had seen a different way of life, one that valued innovation and efficiency over war and conquest.